Well, Josh, I believe the mics are fixed today. I know yesterday was a little rough.
One can only hope.
We got a lot going on today. I know yesterday they announced that they were going to release the Epstein files, so we'll see. We'll take a look at what they actually released. We're going to take a look at DeSantis kind of stopping some American citizens from entering Florida.
I had not heard about this.
And then following up with on immigration, you can just do things. So we're going to take a look at that. We're going to look at kind of cover again. We talked about the CIA yesterday and how they have these chat logs of wanting hermaphrodite children and talking about all this trans stuff. They're traitors. We're going to take a look at that also. And then we're going to revisit the golden ticket. I got it typed out golden ticket on here because I can't spell.
So yeah, I guess we should say just before we get into it that we had some issues yesterday, some technical issues. We talked a lot about, as you just said, the golden ticket. I believe, what else did we talk about? We talked about the Dan Crenshaw Tucker beef. Are we going to address that again today? Do we plan to?
If you want to, we can.
I don't. Hey, well, you heard my take yesterday, even though you were the only one, which is it's not a big deal. So I'm fine with the golden ticket thing is huge. And now that I've had time to kind of marinate on it, I do think there is more to say.
We're going to revisit that for sure.
Okay.
And then I don't know, maybe to top everything off, we'll talk about Vivek, his run for governor, and his proposal to fundamentally change what it means to be American. So we are going to get into that. Like I said, we're going to start this thing off. Yesterday we talked about, we threw up a couple of tweets where Chris Rufo was talking about the CIA and these chat rooms where they have is just transgender and gay and wanting hermaphrodite children and all of this and that on government computers and government systems. But these people are traitors, and Jesse Waters kind of touched on this, and then we'll see you on the back end.
But Intel doesn't like being told what to do. When they saw Musk with the chainsaw doging foreign aid, they started leaking to CNN. If you doge us, there will be consequences. On the CIA's 7th floor, home to top leadership, some officers are also quietly discussing how mass firings and the buyouts already offered to staff risk creating a group of disgruntled former employees who might be motivated to take what they know to a foreign intelligence service. The CIA is telling CNN that if their funding gets cut, they're going to sell state secrets to Russia. Who the hell hired these Benedict Arnolds? The CIA is supposed to be filled with patriots, not sellouts. And the FBI is up to no good, too. Michael Schellenberger is reporting a source inside the FBI says the Bureau is destroying evidence. Now we know what their accomplishments were last week. Dear Elon, I wiped the servers cleaner than crooked.
Josh, I don't know if you know this or not, but I applied to the U.S. Marshals and went through a 18-month process to get into to the Marshals. And this final step of this process is the interview. I got dressed up, put my suit on. I looked good. I was on point. I had this interview. I thought the interview went fairly well, 8 out of 10, I'd say. But when I was there, I was being interviewed by a female that is in the U.S. Marshals. And so this was 3-4 years ago now. And so I say that to say that the U.S. Marshals is probably considered one of the more conservative organizations in the federal government, but they have been infiltrated. And I like to say, and I believe this to be true, that if I had worn a dress into that interview, I would be a U.S. Marshal right now. So the most conservative organization in the federal government will not hire me. I would lay out my resume. I do think I would be qualified for U.S. Marshals, overqualified, some would say. They still turned me down. Why? Because I didn't wear a dress. Because the woke had already entered. The U.S. Marshals being a conservative organization, now we had to deal with the CIA and the FBI and the fallout from hiring people that are the antithesis of what I would be. And so that's what we're looking at now. These people are traitors to the American populace, to Americans themselves. So, Josh, what do we do with traitors?
With traitors, you heard we can't execute them. We need to put them into slavery, essentially. But I mean, traitors. This is the problem. Okay, so to answer your question, I tend to go off on rants about like bigger problems, but I think there's no accountability in this country. No one gets fired. The system is basically set up so that if one person is to blame, 1,000 people are to blame. And to fire somebody, to hold someone responsible with something drastic like firing or prison time, you'd have to indict. You'd have to do it to 1,000 people. So, and they can't do that. So then everyone gets off. That's basically the way our political system, and even trickling down into just the way society is. Like that's how our country is set up. But I think you're absolutely right. Your point about how our institutions are so infiltrated by these idiots, by like self-obsessed women that ain't got no man, women that are so high on their own supply that what qualifies any woman to decide who goes into the U.S. Marshals? Is she a U.S. Marshal?
Yeah,
Was she a
man.
Bulldyke or something?
No, I mean, she was halfway attractive. I don't know, but that's the point. Is once you allow them into law enforcement in general, and then the top echelons, they then open up the organization to everything else. It's a funnel that allows everything in. Once you open up the funnel, everything comes in. We want a straw. We want what fits through the straw, and as soon as you open up the funnel, everything comes in. This is what's happened. Don't shoot me. This is what's happened with the 19th Amendment and all the way down. This is what you get. But that's CIA. That's the traitors. That's just the federal government in general, and this is why we have to destroy the entire system. The system itself cannot stand when the people running the system hate it. They hate it. They want to release sensitive information to destroy the government. And, part of me kind of wants them because I would rather rebuild than to have to deal with these people.
I would too. And that goes to a broader point that we were kind of addressing at my other job today, which, or basically I was thinking about how like, we talk about what is a nation, what would America look like? And we distinguish the real right from like the GDP right, the high GDP right. And I think that basically a big problem we have right now is people are so concerned with like money and stuff like that they lose sight of what really matters or don't care about it to begin with. The nation is full of resentful people that hate. They hate men. They hate white men. They hate the founders of this country, and they're gonna come into this country and wag their fingers in our face. And like you showed on the Jesse Waters clip, they're gonna threaten to expel like state secrets because so they don't get fired. That's not an American. That's not what an American is.
Well, I think you nailed it on the head. It's all resentment. It's resentment from both sides. You have a resentment for white, straight Christian men, and then you have those same men that resent the other side for allowing it to happen. And so I guess that's the theme of the show today, is because we're going to scroll down here and take a look at a couple of other videos, and that's going to be the basis for everything moving forward is simply resentment. We're going to move forward into the Tates have been, I guess, released from Romania to come back to the United States by pressure from Trump, but DeSantis has kind of denied. It's an ongoing process right now. He was trying to deny them access to Florida. So we're going to take a look at this clip, and then I'll catch you on the other side.
Is he welcome here? What the states do to send back to Romania or whatever? Well, we have no involvement in that. I read about it through the media. Clearly, the federal government has jurisdiction, whether they want to rebuff his entry into the United States, and I have confidence that whether it's Pam Bondi or Kristi Noem, that they will be looking at that. I do know our Attorney General, James Uthmeyer, is looking at what state hooks and jurisdiction we may have to be able to deal with this. But the reality is no, Florida is not a place where you're welcome with that type of conduct in the air. And I don't know how it came to this. We were not involved. We were not notified. I found out through the media that this was something that was happening. Okay, guys.
So this is an ongoing process, and he's trying to use the state powers to stop the Tates from coming to America. Now, you know, I have my own quarrels with them, but they are American citizens, and you can't reject an American citizen access. And so my take on this is, if you really don't want them to come to America and have free roam throughout whatever state it is, as a federation we are, then you reject the American citizenship. You don't circumvent that process by taking a power as a state and rejecting American citizens because, I don't know, you don't like them. I think his claim was that they are sex traffickers, which I'm not going to refute that. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I don't think they've been convicted. I do think they are or were, but the point still stands. I mean, you have Florida's full of, I don't know, the OnlyFans owner lives in Florida. I think the owner of Pornhub lives in Florida. I mean, if you're going to make that claim, then you got a lot of people that got to get kicked out of Florida, Josh.
Dude. And here's the thing, you know, you've got your theories about the Tates. We won't get off too often into that. I've got my own theories about them. They're funny and I like them, but you know, I don't support everything they do. Obviously, the Tates really aren't the issue here. The issue is that Ron DeSantis is a dirty bitch. He's a wuss. He's not a real person. Do you remember how hard they were pushing him not long ago? Like for the past couple of years?
Yes, I do.
He is bought and he is paid for. We've said it 100 times on this show, and the 1 month that we've been doing it, politics is not organic. Politics is gatekept. Ron DeSantis is a bot. Like he has no soul. And his soul is bought and paid for, and he'll do whatever it's. And this is perfect evidence of that. Like, what did the Tates do that on paper, like, you know, as like Christians, we would say that, like, you know, doing the cam girl industry is immoral. But like you said, like you pointed out, the CEO of Pornhub lives in Florida. That's pretty much the same thing, except there's basically been verified that Pornhub had child pornography on it at one point. So, but that whoever she is, she gets free roam to live and you know, walk around Florida.
Yeah. Well, he is astroturf. All these politics are astroturfed. And then you have, I don't want to really dive into the Tates that much, but it is what it is. And you know, we kind of talked about resentment earlier. The Tate brothers are a product of resentment. They are the entire Red Pill movement is a product of resentment. Red Pill movement is just an opposition to the narrative that's being pushed by mainstream media, this boomer organization that simply hates its children organization, because that's essentially what it is at this point. They hate their children. They hate the straight white man, and I know the Tates are mixed, but they are a product of that resentment.
Yeah. And we've criticized the Tates and John Zerka, for example, before, where there is such a thing as, like, I know it's taboo on the conservative side to criticize this, but there is such a thing as I wouldn't say toxic masculinity, but over masculinity. It is masculine to want to have sex with as many women as possible, but that is immoral. So you see this pendulum swing. Yeah. This pendulum swing from like this hyper feminist, like twink gay society to like a barbarian rapist society. And we don't want to see that, but the Tates aren't actually doing that. They represent it, but I think that the kind of message that they purport for now is a positive turn. And that's all I really have to say.
Yeah,
about that.
I think you're there. It's essentially just a moralist push for what they perceive to be tradition or what they want to be conservatism. We also have just another DeSantis clip lined up since I guess he's just in the news today. This is him on immigration, basically saying that you can just do things.
Are they going to be vetted, first of all?
Of course. Deeply vetted, and we said that from the first minute.
That is not the right clip. Did I click
We'll get
the
it
right
one
thing?
day.
I wonder if this is one.
We're going to be doing something else. It's got to be
reviving civic education.
But Intel doesn't like being.
Anyway, I guess we're not getting that clip. Sorry, guys. Sorry, chat. Basically, DeSantis talks about how Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they just did things with immigration. And they said that, and the Trump administration is trying to do things, I guess, ultra legally, where he said he would just do the things. And this is kind of in the same vein of just stopping people from coming into America, even American citizens.
So was that the clip you were going to
see if
show?
I
Was he talking about doing it in relation to the Tates? Like this was in the same press conference, I assume?
No, it's not it's not the same.
Okay. So he was talking about like what the Trump administration is going to do implementation wise regarding immigration compared to the Biden Kamala Harris regime.
Yeah, basically.
And okay. So was his point, do you have it?
No.
Okay.
I can't find out. Anyway, all right.
But was his point basically that the Biden-Harris administration took like a wrecking ball to it and they just did whatever they wanted, Constitution be damned, but we have to do it the right way, the American way, the constitutional way.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Great. Awesome.
As always. It's like, man, you can just do things. You can just wield power because
that's why we're always
It ought to
going
be.
to lose. That's why we're always going to lose. And here's the thing is, as I was saying before, Ron DeSantis doesn't want to win because Ron DeSantis isn't conservative, because he's not an America firster. He's a bought and paid for grifting shill. He's a leech, and he's totally astroturfed. And that's basically that's what it's all about. Like he's never going to do anything meaningful. The conservatives are never, the conservative party is never going to give us immigration.
He wants to be AG or something like that. I know they've been floating.
The AG.
Yeah.
Of the country. You
Yeah.
mean? Okay.
I know that they've been floating his wife running for governor lately too. So I don't know. I think she wears her pants in that relationship anyway, which is why he was potentially,
Well, they both wear heels.
which was why he broke loyalty and ran against Trump in the primaries initially. I think his wife pushed him towards that, and he had a bunch of yes men around him that continued that. So I don't know. This isn't the last we'll see of DeSantis for sure.
Unfortunately. Do
Well,
you
yeah.
like him?
Do I like him?
I've gone on a big rant about him. What do you
No,
think about
I mean,
him? We've never actually talked about this.
Not really. Has he been good for Florida? I think so. I don't think he would be good for the nation.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Sure.
Do I like him? I would say no, but we take
I
what we can get.
I'm getting a little off topic here, but I got totally flashbanged the first time I saw him talk, because I'd always seen pictures of him. I'd actually heard about him, and you know the name DeSantis. I was imagining some kind of like tough talking Italian guy. Then I see him on TV, and he's like, "We're gonna do that," and I was like, "Ugh, God!" And this was like by the time he was running for president. Well, maybe a little earlier than that, but I was like, ugh, yeah, this is not going to work. Get him out of here.
Yeah, but he's got 4-inch boots on.
I thought you were going to say something else. Yeah, and that's another thing is all the photos I saw of him were like from the waist up, and I thought he was like 6'4". Turns out he's like 5'9".
It's you can't trust people like that, man. I mean,
Built
they're
like Danny
intentionally
DeVito.
trying to deceive you. Speaking of people that want to deceive other people,
Reviving civic education in our young people, to teach them to be proud of our country and our state rather than ashamed of it. They deserve it. That means getting rid of the woke indoctrination and the victimhood psychology with actual U.S. history and actual civics lessons that teach them to be proud, teach them what it means to be an American. Say the Pledge of Allegiance in every school in this state with a moment of silence every morning. That's what's going to happen in the public schools on my watch. And every high school senior who graduates from an Ohio high school on my watch will have to pass the same civics test that every legal immigrant has to pass in order to become a naturalized citizen of this country. You got to know something about the country in order to respect the country and love the country. And that's the job of K through 12 education. After we light that fire under the feet of our public schools, that lays the foundation for then taking higher education to the next level.
So, Josh, the idea of making civics tests a standardized process to essentially graduate high school, in theory, is not a terrible idea. But what it does is it undermines what it means to be American. And in the process, this idea that Vivek has, that is the idea that America is an idea, is wrong. It's quite simply wrong. And
yes, I want to say, were you about to pull
Go
something
ahead.
up?
No,
okay,
go ahead.
I was going to say this real quick. This is a perfect opportunity for a lesson in, like, I don't know what you would call it, like cadence or double standards. It's like, and I'll give an example of what I mean. I saw a bit like by a comedian who's this Italian guy. And he was talking, he was like, hey, Italians, you know, like, he was doing a bit about like food, how Italians make better food than people. But it was like in jest. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, it was a joke. Then I saw a black comedian, and he was talking about how like white people don't season their food. And I don't have the clips or anything to go off of, but like you can kind of tell that there's a resentment. Jest in one and malice in the other, and under the guise of a joke. And so this is a perfect example of that, where someone like you and I, we would actually, and I've talked about this before, we would actually be okay with Americans having to, have some basic like civics understanding, more than is required by today's education, the education system. We would be okay with that. But when Vivek demands that, when Vivek promises that, why does he want that? And think about what he said in the clip. He said, the Americans have to pass the same civics test that the legal immigrants have to do. Why does Vivek care about that? Because I think he was born here, but like his parents,
he's an anchor baby.
He's an anchor baby. Yeah, his parents were legal immigrants.
There's a little conflict of interest there.
Yes, because he does not view himself the same way. Like, look at the people behind him in that video. What qualifies Vivek Ramaswamy, who just got here? I mean, in an ancestral sense, who just got here, whose ancestors are not tied to this land. He's going to tell the people of Ohio how to be. He's going to tell them what the problem is. He's going to be the one dictating their governance in Ohio. We made the example before about Ilhan Omar. Why is there's someone in Ohio right now who can trace their ancestry back to the inception of it as a state? And some guy who got here who was born in the 70s or probably
something like that,
like the 80s, is going to tell him what to do, is going to tell him what it is to be an American.
Yeah. Well, what Vivek doesn't understand is that these ideas that he's pushing come from what he argues is blood and soil. Sorry, he is arguing that the ideas are separate from blood and soil, but they aren't. They quite literally aren't, because we've tried it. We've tried to export democracy. We've tried to export these ideas to other countries, and it fails every single time. Why? Quite simply because the people of this country hold these ideas and push these ideas forward. And if we simply take it and replace the people, the ideas are replaced, because they are one and the same. You cannot bring a people up under an idea because it is that idea. People are not interchangeable cogs in the machine. Economically, ideally, philosophically, even religiously. I mean, we have different traditions. And that's what it all boils down to, is that he has a conflict of interest that he is going to push in Ohio and continue to push until he gets what he wants, where anyone and everyone can be an American, because we are a land of multiculturalism, And because of that, he's quite simply pushing globalism under a different banner.
And I want to say this about Vivek Ramaswamy, because I see someone in our live chat. Thank you for commenting, by the way. But I'm not sure if she's referring to what you just said about him. She said, I can't blame him. And I'm not exactly the point.
I don't blame him either. But that
I do.
No, if I was in his position, I would argue the same thing.
Well, of course.
Because it's in his interest to do that.
But that is my point. And what I want to say is I can't blame him is like, yes, you know, that's something when I talk about Israel at my other job, they say like, well, that's what I would be doing if I were an Israeli national here. It's like, yeah, me too. I get why they're doing it, but that doesn't negate the fact that it is not in my interest. It is not in our interest. We need to look out for ourselves. We need to stop worrying about like the common good of all humanity, because all humanity is made up of different people who care about themselves. And so I want to say this about I can't blame him comment. Again, I'm not attacking you. I think you actually it's a good point to bring up, because this is the real problem. Is the idea, the narrative about what a nation is. I don't know if you don't have the tweet you said.
Which tweet?
The one in the two where he said there's most nations are anyway. But he basically said in a tweet, and we can get it here in a second. So you know I'm not making it up, but he basically said in a tweet, there's two ideas of what there's two things that make a nation. There's nation A, which is something like blood, soil, and heritage, and then like hypothetical nation 2 is like ideas and social constructs and whatnot. And he says that's what makes America great. That's what America is. America is not tied to the blood of its founders. It's not tied to the soil. It's tied to the ideals of Thomas Jefferson and all that kind of bullshit. And basically, he has to say that because, yeah, perfect. Heritage, blood, soil, ideals, allegiance, and duty. That's what makes American exceptionalism possible. No. American exceptionalism is not importing every Indian possible in here to be a coder. That's not what American exceptionalism is. American exceptionalism came from the fact that it was quite literally some of the most adventurous people from Europe trying to create a better life for themselves, which they did. All over the world, you know, the whole of the Americas, South America and North America, was colonized by all sorts of European countries. But the United States of America came out on top because these were the best people. They were the best. They were exceptional. And American exceptionalism is not just someone who just got here who has citizenship. And that's why they whoever they is, it can be Indians, it can be Chinese, it can be whoever. But it's this idea of a meritocracy where what makes you a great American is how high of a test score you have, how much money you can accrue. The American dream is how big of a house you can afford. That's not what the American dream is. That's not what that's not what the founders intended.
The American dream has changed over time, but I just want to point out a definition error. He says most nations are built around number 1, heritage, blood, and soul. And number 2 being ideals, allegiance, and duty. By definition, a nation can only be heritage, blood, and soul. Anything else is a country. We are a country. We are not a nation. A nation is a people with a shared heritage, a shared ethnicity, and a nation is quite simply an extended family. And so,
right, it derives from the word natal.
Yes.
And
by definition, anything else, if you put boundaries around a land and call it a thing, it is a country. But a nation requires a people.
And this is what I really wanted to say about Vivek is, or Vivek, whatever, who cares? It's Vivek.
Yeah.
Whatever. He's Indian, and that actually does matter. That matters because when you have our leaders basically advocating for a meritocratic system, there's going to be a conflict. And the reason that is because when it's only merit-based, like Indians and Chinese do have a natural advantage. And do you know why? It's not because they have a naturally higher IQ. They don't. It's because their cultures, their heritage, how their cultures are is basically a greed-based culture. It's how much can I attain? How much more of my neighbor's things can I get through not necessarily stealing, but by earning it, by outmaneuvering them, by out earning them. This is how most other cultures are. This is how Middle Eastern cultures are. This is how Asian cultures are. It's how most of the world is. And unfortunately, also, like all people, they have an ethnic bias. So they get in, and you get enough of them to kind of infiltrate the institutions
Again,
and
as
then
they
gatekeep
should.
them.
As they should have an ethnic bias.
I mean,
But
I get what you're saying.
But the issue comes.
The issue is that we don't have that.
The issue comes when we do it. We are oppressors.
We get the finger wagged in our faces.
But we can't fight for our own land, our own territory, our own people.
Yes, exactly.
And so we become usurped because we can't acknowledge that an invasion is happening.
Yeah, imagine you going to his land and being like, I'm more Indian than you because I know the history or whatever. Because I passed a civics test and you didn't.
Yeah, it's
Would you be more, are you therefore an Indian? Because I'll tell you this, and I don't want to get myself in trouble, but here we are. Vivek Ramaswamy and his kids, I'm not like putting, like we're all people. God love them all. I don't resent these people for who they are. This is not like a hate thing. This is just like you said, nation.
It's not a hate for others. It's a love for self.
Yes,
or love for
it's a
nation.
love for my kin. I want to be around people like me. There's nothing wrong with that. And so my point is like with someone like Vivek Ramaswamy, he can be a citizen. He can never be a true American.
I agree.
And it's just that simple.
Do I?
And well, do you?
What does it mean to be a citizen?
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. Like when I say citizen, I mean like by definition, he is a citizen right now.
Do you think we should have first and second
I'm
class
not saying he should.
citizens?
Now, I'm not saying he should be a citizen. I'm saying he is a citizen, but he can never be an American. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. It will always be hyphenated.
Yes.
I agree. Yes.
Dang, that was a quick 32 minutes.
Yeah, Vivek and the rug pull. I mean, how did he get his power, Josh? How did he get his money? He rug pulled $2 billion of boomer money.
Where's that cure for Alzheimer's, huh?
and now he just caters to the boomers by wearing a cowboy hat and a Texas flag T-shirt. I mean, does that make him a cowboy? Is he a cowboy because he wears a cowboy hat now, Josh? Where's the picture? I'm gonna pull the picture
Put him up, buddy. Do you need a count?
He's a fraud, and he caters to the boomers, and the boomers eat it up because he's a POC conservative, quote unquote, around all of it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's Vivek. He's running for governor. He'll most likely win because he has a Trump endorsement. Speaking on Trump and bad decisions.
Have you ever been to Ohio?
We're going to be doing something else. We're going to be doing something else.
Say it again.
I was going to ask, have you ever been to Ohio?
I have not been to Ohio, but I know Ohio is my list on the top. It's probably top 3 of states that I dislike.
Why?
Ohio State.
Okay. Well, sports ball aside, I've been to Ohio fairly recently. I had a friend who moved to West Virginia. He's on the border, and so when I go to visit him, we go to Columbus, Ohio for like a day just to hang out. It's a really awesome place. It's a very beautiful state, and I don't want to get myself in trouble here, but I feel more at home there. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, I know exactly what you're saying.
And
I felt the same way when I was on the way when I was up in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and that's why they're importing the Haitians there. That is why they are having the Indians run for governor in Ohio, because you're not allowed to have homogeneity if you're white.
Yeah. Yep. They're
What does
importing all of
TY
them.
mean?
Thank you.
Oh,
I guess
okay.
addressing the comments.
You're welcome. Sweet
What
Rem,
else?
sweet.
RFK Jr. was a much harder choice for Trump. Well, RFK is compartmentalized within the health field. So as long as he stays there, everything's good to go. But then, I mean, you have RFK, you have Tulsi, you have Elon, you have all these people that are leftist, well, not leftist, but at least liberal, but economically conservative that Trump has brought on. And so what's going to happen is the entire social structure of the right is going to be put to the side for capitalism, which is what you see. Elon, Vivek, RFK. I mean, these people don't care about the social conservatism. All they care about is money and pushing their narrative.
What was the name of that? Like, I think John Ward made it, but it was that documentary about that town in
Charleroi.
What was it, Pennsylvania?
Yeah, it was Pennsylvania. A bunch of it upended the town because they imported it was like a town of like 4,000, and then they imported 4,000 Haitians,
right?
Which is like insane.
Yeah. Yeah, and another perfect example is there's a little island off the coast of Italy where I think more than a third, like more than, it was like 150% worth of like Africans were just dropped onto the island. So now the people that live on that island that can trace their heritage back, hundreds if not thousands of years, are now a minority in one day. Is that right? Would it be racist to say I don't want these people here?
No, it's obviously not. Mussolini was right.
Are they going to be vetted, first of all?
Of course. Deeply vetted, and we said that from the first minute go. These are vetted people. These are going to be great global citizens who are going to bring entrepreneurial spirit, capacity, and growth to America. If one of them comes in, think of the jobs they're going to bring with them, the businesses they're going to bring with them, and they're going to pay American taxes as well. So this is huge money for America.
And how many people are waiting in this line currently?
So there are 250,000 people waiting in line now. If they're willing to pay the $5 million, that's over $1 trillion. That comes directly to $1.25 trillion just for that line. And I think these people are going to come enormous ways because they know they can come into America and they can be in the greatest country on earth.
Why is it the greatest country on earth? It ain't because of the last 50 years, Josh. I can guarantee you that.
Well, why is India not the greatest country on earth? Why is China not the greatest country on earth? What do they have to contribute?
It's obvious to us, and it's obvious to them, which is why they keep coming. It is. No one denies that. But why is the question? Why does everyone flood into Europe? Why does everyone come to America?
If you had $5 million to burn, would you pay for citizenship in Mozambique?
Obviously not. But they're entrepreneurs, Josh. You don't understand. They're entrepreneurs, and we're gonna pay off the debt.
We're
gonna get $1 trillion. We're gonna get $1 trillion because we're paying $1 trillion in interest. It's in and out the window. The $1 trillion is irrelevant at this point. And we have 250,000 people coming over that aren't Americans. And they aren't going to assimilate because assimilation isn't real.
This is big money for America. This is going to be big.
I don't care. Screw the debt. I don't want to be too vulgar, but like, who cares if we're in debt? Yeah, we'll get around to paying it off. But like, China, they're not going to go to war with us over the debt. All these people we owe aren't going to go to war with us over the debt. The social problems need to be fixed first. The economic problems are it is a trickle down effect. We need national sovereignty, and
what these people don't understand is that the economy is an outcrop from society. You can't fix the economy and expect society to get better. That's not how this works. Society gets better, and so does the economy. It's a product of society and not the other way around. And these people think that they can just bull rush the economy with cogs in the machine to increase GDP, or give out golden tickets like it's Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory, and they're just going to be entrepreneurs and make America so much money. Like, no, you're just bringing in 250,000 workers that these companies are paying for. These people aren't even individuals that are paying for this. I can almost guarantee it. Nobody has $5 million, but you know who does have $5 million to pay per person? Some of these large companies, these large organizations that are just going to keep importing people. What's to
even foreign governments.
To stop China? What's to stop China from just creating money in their own land, converting it, and then just shipping Chinese nationals over here with glorified green cards?
Yeah, exactly. And they've been doing that. I mean, who was the guy who got caught getting married to a Chinese spy? And here's the thing.
Swalwell, he needs to be put on. I think somebody is actually going to try and push him out of Congress because of ethics complaints. Was it Fang Fang? Fung Fung?
Who cares?
Oh boy. But they all have their foreign handlers and their foreign spies. They're just not all Chinese nationals.
Yeah, and the thing, like, I'm not even that worried about China, to be honest. I mean, obviously, like, in the long-term geopolitical war, for supremacy, yeah, China is obviously an adversary. But if we beat China, but in 100 years, America looks like their next-door neighbor's India, or like China itself, then did we really win? Like, at that point, who really cares who's the top dog in the geopolitical world? I mean, if China became the center of gravity on planet Earth, you think they'd kill us all? You think they'd just like destroy America? Like, worst case scenario, what's going to happen? I mean, it's not good. I do get it. I'm not like that naive, but like at the end of the day, I care more about my family. I care more about my kin than I do about having money, than I do about having a high GDP. But that's not what our leaders do. That's like with NAFTA.
It's like what Benjamin Franklin say, you can have security or you can have freedom, but you can't have both. It's the same thing here. You can have money and you can have your children, but you can't have both.
Yeah.
Because in the short term, because the system has to crumble before we can rebuild. And so that means the economy is going to take a hit. That means all of these business owners are going to take a hit, is what it is. Business owners at the top. We're talking about top echelon. These mom and pop shops won't hurt that much. And in fact, they will probably thrive if this happens.
And I'm kind of like circling back now. But basically, to the video you played, or we're going to play about DeSantis, where he was like, okay, this was the Kamala Harris and Joe Biden doctrine, where they came in and they ignored the Constitution. They did everything wrong, but it still happened. We need to do it the right way. We need to go through the government system. We need to go through all the checks and balances to make sure that we do it right, because that's what the founders would want. No. And even if it is true, even if if George Washington came back to life and said that's what we need to do, then I don't care what I don't think he would. But that's the point. Is like, we need to start to think about, okay, it's not 1776 anymore. It's 2025. We need to start to look out for ourselves. If we want America to stay American, we need to tackle immigration. And Ron DeSantis is never going to do that. And because first off, I don't even think, if there's a little bit of him that cares, it's never going to happen the right way, through the checks and balances. We need, like we've talked about, you predicted before, there's going to be a split in the right. And when that happens, when the true right-wing leader comes along and gets in, forget the courts. Well, forget it all. Disband Congress. Go dictator mode, because that's what we need. I'm fine with it. That's what we need. Talking about tearing it all down, that's what has to happen for us to win. If that's what it comes to, I definitely don't think a violent revolution is on the table. But I think to tackle it legislatively, you need drastic action. And I'm not even talking like a total like Hitler Mussolini-esque coup. I'm talking just do what Joe Biden did. Just say screw it and do whatever you want.
Yeah, let me go ahead and play this clip on DeSantis. Bear with me for like 3 seconds.
One.
Are they going to be vetted, first of all?
And I do think it should be said, when President Trump was running against Kamala Harris, and they had a debate about the border. Harris said, because the border was what it was, there was a lot of legacy media that tried to act like it wasn't a big deal, but people saw what was happening. So it wasn't credible to say that it wasn't happening. So what Harris said was, well, we wanted an immigration bill and you guys helped tank it. That would have helped us secure the border. And then candidate Trump turned to her and said, you don't need a bill, just do it. So he became president, and what happened? Did he need a bill to secure our country? No, he just did it. And so you have a 94% drop in border crossings since January 20th, and year over year, however you want to do it. That's remarkable. That shows what Biden-Harris were saying was not true. They were selling you snake oil. You didn't need legislation. You just needed a determined president. So I think that's a great success story already.
Yeah, there's a clip. I was a little bit off on it, but I mean, the point stands. You can just do things, Josh.
Yeah. And if they say, well, you're not, you're not allowed to do that, be like, okay, you're a judge. Here's your address. I know where you live. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah,
I control the army.
In the same vein, Sweet says they should be working on deporting all non-citizen political enemies to the American nation. I would go one further. I would say deport all non-citizens, period.
Yeah. Goodbye, Abuela.
And then
Who
revoke
cares?
birthright citizenship retroactively to all anchor babies.
Hell yeah.
And then you have
dude.
no Vivek running for governor.
Yes.
Because he is, to quote DeSantis, a snake oil salesman. That's what he did. That's how he got his money. That's how he got famous.
Literally a snake oil salesman. I mean, damn, dude. It's like conservatives truly don't want to win. This is why, and I know, we talked a little bit behind the scenes about our content. We were like, we kind of need to lay off the boomers. We kind of need to, we don't want to be labeled as the anti-boomer guys, but it is like the kids get this. The people younger than me, I'm 27 years old. The people younger than me, they understand this. They see, because they're growing up in this hyper diverse society, and the differences are obvious. It's so obvious. Everyone gets this. But like the boomers, they're so wrapped up in the post MLK world where it's like, peace and love, man. It's all about coming together, brother. Yeah, man, we're buddies. And look, like, I love everybody. And like, I have camaraderie with all types of people that I know on an individual level. But people isolate themselves in groups. People feel comfortable around people like them. It's just that simple. And it's not wrong for us to want the same thing.
And we should be able to fight for it without feeling guilty.
Yes. Let's see, like, tell that to Vivek, whatever, and see what he says.
Yes. All right, so the thumbnail of this thing is the Epstein files, which I've been waiting on them. I think everybody has. Pam Bondi came out yesterday, kind of announced
Before you play it.
It ain't nothing to play. It ain't nothing to play. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, because we talked about this before, and I remember when we talked, I said, like, you're not getting them, and I haven't looked at them yet. I don't know anything about what you're about to show. I just want to put that out there before you play it.
Well, there ain't nothing to play.
Is it just an image?
Because it's just an image.
All right.
Because we had a photo shoot. Don't ask why. I don't know. But we're going to talk about this right here. This is the photo shoot for the release of the JFK, or not JFK. We need to get them too. Cash, where you at? This is a release of the Epstein files. Supposedly going to come out in 4 phases, Josh. Why are we getting them in 4 phases? Why are they not posted to the internet, to a URL where everybody can sift through them? Why are these line-towing commentators getting access to physical copies of binders of phase 1 of Epstein files? Like, what does phase 1 even mean? Why can't we release all of them? What are we waiting on?
They got to give Tom Hanks enough time to get a U-Haul. That's why.
I mean, this is insane. I mean, you have libs of TikTok here. I wonder if I could do this. Oh no, that's going to be hard. Boom, boom. Libs of TikTok, DC Drano, and then Liz Wheeler here, and I think that's Cernovich in the back. I mean, these are all the line-towing commentators having access to them. Why are these not public? We know the answer to that.
Yeah, because Mike Cernovich is probably on that list, because the people holding those folders are in there. And what it is we are going to get bullshit. It's going to be redacted or nothing at all. I promise you, because
that's what I'm
guarantee
looking on any release at all right now.
I guarantee you that when they release this crap, it's going to be like, first off, probably not even going to get part 4 till the end of the presidency, just so they can say it was a victory. And when we do, how many people do you think are going to be put in jail after the files come out?
There's no accountability.
Not one person.
It's
not one.
It's not because we can't. It's because who is in the files. Pam Bondi, which is AG, which is releasing these files, in a letter to FBI Director Kash Patel, claims that the FBI is withholding Epstein documents from her. That was just a minute ago.
I was laughing at scientists and engineers.
This is already prepped. I mean, this photo shoot tells you that it's just it's not real. It's not real. Release the files. Release the JFK files. Release the Epstein files. Release the Martin Luther King files. Release the 9/11 files. Why are we hiding? But these same people will tell you that this is the most transparent administration that we have. There's nothing transparent about this.
No.
You haven't released anything, yet you're holding it up like you won a trophy.
They're literally like, ooh, it's like jingling shiny keys in front of a baby's face. That's what this is. It's a me more presidency, and now basically, like we know, you and I know what was going on Epstein Island.
Everybody
it was a
knows.
blackmail operation mixed with probably like satanic rituals just for shits and gigs. But basically, we know what happened. But the reason people want the Epstein files put out there is so that we have accountability, which we are. I promise you, we are not going to get. And at the end of the day, the MLK files, the JFK files, whatever we get is going to amount to nothing. It's a big red herring. It's not going to matter one iota.
Just a second ago, we were earlier in the segment, we reported on the CIA being traitors and going to release sensitive information to the public or classified information because they resent what Doja's doing, I guess, and they're all tranny pedophile faggots. YouTube's probably going to block that one. Oh, well.
Don't report us, please.
But that's that same document that said Pam Bondi sent Kash Patel is saying the FBI in New York is withholding the Epstein documents. So just like the CIA, these people are blocking what is or should be transparent information. I mean, if we're going to release the files, we release the files. All of these people need to be tried for treason. They don't need to be fired. They need to be hung. That's it. They need to be hung.
I don't think people get this. Where we talked about it yesterday and no one heard it except us. But basically we talked about how the government is infiltrated by everyone but us. If you're like an average Joe, if you're from South Carolina, if you're a farmer, whatever you think of, if you're watching this show, I guarantee you, the people that are in government, the people that are in power are not like us. The interns were making gay sex tapes in the capital of the United States. I don't know, like the image in my mind, it's like they're not like they have eyes, they have ears, they have fingers, but they're not human. They're nothing like anyone you even know.
Well, they're demonic.
Yes. It's like you literally don't know people that are like this, and they are in and you are not. They have the power and you don't. And when you get someone like Donald Trump, he is there whether he knows it or not. I mean, Donald Trump is a traitor to Americans, to America first. If you were in on him in 2016 like I was, like you were, He has betrayed us. He has been captured. Whether he even knows it or not, he's in a fog. He's in a total fog where he thinks, I guarantee he believes.
He has to know it. Did you see Elon at the first cabinet meeting they just held?
Yeah.
He had more speech time and stand up and give information time than Trump did, while Trump just sat there. And we see Elon in the White House taking press conferences in the Oval Office. And then we see this guy that's pushing these golden tickets standing behind Trump while he's talking about it. And then what's this guy's name, Josh?
Oh, crap. It shuddered a second ago.
He's behind.
We're going to be doing something else. We're going to be.
Is he welcome here? What the states
I don't have the video. Anyway, I mean, these
Howard Lutkin.
Howard Lutkin. Yeah, these people are controlling everything. It's almost like Trump has no control anymore. Like the facade has kind of withered away.
Yeah.
And they're just taking power as if they are the president of the United States. And so it's very blackpilling watching this to me.
Yeah, and it's almost like, I think your average person, I mean myself, the other day you showed me the official FBI documents talking about having like genetically engineered hermaphrodites in the FBI because that would promote transgenderism. I've become so desensitized, and I think that's kind of the point, that everyone has become so desensitized that they forget how like disgusting and evil these people truly are. How is this not treason? How are these people like if Donald Trump said that Chuck Schumer is an evil bastard and has like sold us out and is I'm going to try him for treason.
Well,
and we're going to find him guilty. It's a kangaroo court. Whatever. Why would he be wrong? Why would that be wrong?
It's not wrong.
Exactly.
That's the way it should be, and that's the way every nation on earth would have it other than white nations, European nations, Western nations, because we've been invaded and infiltrated and taken over by non-Westerners. But to the image we see here, this was over 3 hours ago, 4 hours ago. I mean, none of these people, all these people have posted is the binder itself, is the cover photo of this binder. None of them have opened it up and posted anything. I mean, are these empty props, Josh? What are we just waiting on nothing? These people know. DC Drano, Liz Wheeler, Chaya Ratchick, whatever her name is, lives a TikTok. I mean, these people have the binders and have yet to release it. So are they protecting pedophiles?
Yeah.
What are we waiting on?
Why? Yeah. Why wait? And honestly, this is not being hypothetical or rhetorical. Why wait? What is the purpose of not releasing this today? Then they're protecting somebody. I mean, personally, like, I don't even know what to think of it, to be honest. It's one of those things where it's like, they could fake it. They could put some BS out there, but like that goes to show you they don't even have scapegoats. They don't even have people that they have set up to pin this on because it's a club. Everyone that's in the inner circle knows each other. They're about each other. They're part of a clan. They're part of a club, which is why they don't even know anybody that they're willing to sacrifice. Because everyone has dirt on everyone else, because it's this total circular system, and it's this tiny circle up here, totally disconnected from the big circle of the population.
That's to be destroyed. All of it has to be destroyed. I keep saying that, but I really mean it. If any of it is preserved, it is all preserved. Because like you said, all of this yarn is connected. And so once you pull one string, it all comes down. And no strings have been pulled yet, even with all the savings that Doge has found. All the fraud within USAID, Doge has found. You can keep
Go ahead.
You can keep uncovering all of this fraud, but if the system itself isn't fixed, or the people inside the system rather isn't fixed, there is no rebuilding to be had because they still control the system.
And I wanted to address what this guy said. Sarge says, I heard there will be a data dump after a talk, and it's about timing. What about timing? Like, what timing for what? There's a lot. Okay, there's a large fishing operation, and they are watching who looks at the names and those who got the folders. There's a fishing. So, like, I'm not sure what that means. They're looking at the people who have the folders. If the folders aren't public.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing public, and even the people that got the folders have not released any. I mean, it's been 4 hours. If I'm an influencer and I have a folder with the Epstein files, and there's 15, 20 other influencers, these people post everything they get the second they get it. Yet we haven't seen anything. Why?
Okay, so yeah, what he's saying is that they're looking for people kind of like in the same way that Elon Musk, the email threatening to fire everybody wasn't like to be taken literally. It was a pulse check. So I think what he's arguing, or this listener is arguing, is that people,
I agree
they're trying
with
to see
him.
who researches the people that got the folders. But
you think these people they're baiting the
But think about it. That implies that they don't know who was there. Because that implies that there's nothing in the folders.
There is nothing in the folders.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. There's nothing in the folders.
Right. Because if the people's names are in the folders, why do they need to fish for them? It's because there's nothing there. Because what we're saying is that they do know who was there, and they're keeping it.
He's probably saying where he changed the space and and who are the guilty couple.
We got to get phone calls set up.
Yeah, we need to get phone calls set up, man.
Sarge, I salute you.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing in the folders.
Yes,
it's a prop.
bullshit.
It's a prop photo shoot. There's nothing in the folders because these people would have posted already. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're tracking people that are in the folder or supposedly in the files, phone calls and seeing what they're doing, but I don't know, man. We've been promised JFK files. We've been promised 9/11 files. We've been promised MLK files. We've been promised the Epstein list for years. I mean, it's just going to keep going on and on and on. And somebody that thinks they have power, they keep saying they're going to do things, don't actually have power. So where is the power is the question.
Yep. And I'm even confused. Like, why don't they just fake it? Can't they BS?
Just put a list out there and let it go because they can't do that because we know enough that we know that the list would be fake because they can't throw enough people under the bus to make it worth it.
Yeah, like because for them to put a list out, there's no way. Kind of like we were saying earlier, they don't have enough scapegoats for people to buy it. You know, if they were going to say, Tom Hanks is kind of out, and maybe I shouldn't say his name. I don't want to get caused of accused of defamation, but let's say Woody from Toy Story was on this Epstein sex island, and two other guys that you know of, two other famous actors. Are people going to believe that it was only 3 people doing that? No, they think it was hundreds of people, and they don't have hundreds of people that they can't kill hundreds of people to silence them. And they can't keep 100 people's mouth shuts once they get arrested for pedophilia.
Don't challenge them, Josh. Don't challenge them. They'll try it.
There's going to be a lot more Delta flights running into buildings or the runway. Yeah.
I mean, you even have the Senator Mike Lee from Utah saying, one, if the Epstein files are out, where do we find them? ? And 2, what's the difference between phase 1 and phase 2? Like I said, there's 4 phases to this thing, supposedly. So, I mean, they planned this out. And you have sitting senators that have no idea where these Epstein files are. It's all a facade. I mean, are they trying to root somebody out? I don't know. At this point, I don't care. Just give it to us and let the system crumble. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
It's this, that's the problem, is we're relying on the system to destroy the system. That's why we all were so excited about Donald Trump, is because he was on the outside looking in, and he got in, and they totally obfuscated. They totally captured him. And I love Donald Trump. I think honestly, him coming on the scene, He moved us in the right direction, whether he intended to or not. But Donald Trump is no longer a man to put our faith in. Donald Trump has been bought. And I think, and this is what I was kind of alluding to earlier, and a point I was going to make yesterday, is I think Donald Trump, he relies on Twitter, he relies on social media, or at least he did back in 2016, and now he relies on a group of people, of influencers. By influencers, I don't mean like TikTok people. I mean like political influencers where he gets his information from. And also, you don't think that Elon Musk is what's the word I'm looking for? Is catering Donald Trump's feed? Do you know? I mean, like Elon Musk.
Well, they've
admitted
to it. They've admitted to catering feeds to specific people.
Exactly.
Not Trump specifically, but other people specifically as individuals. So if they can do that for other people, they obviously do it for Trump. I don't know how much he scrolls Twitter anymore, but
because we've said this before, Donald Trump, it's his best and worst quality is his ego. He is an egotist. He's all about himself. I love him for it. I hate him for it. It is what it is. But the thing is I guarantee you they are finding ways to censor the information to where he thinks that the Americans like the gold card thing. He wouldn't go out and say that unless they literally have a gun to his head. I think they convinced him that's what the American people wanted. And there were a handful of times where, you had Vivek come out in full force and talk about how, like, this is why Indians are better than Americans because Americans have too much sleepovers and they're lazy and they don't play the violin. And then the America Firsters, the Trump base, came out against Vivek Ramaswamy, and Donald Trump didn't allow him in Doge. Donald Trump removed him from the scene. But of course, he's college roommates with J.D. Vance. Vivek is totally on the inside of this new inner circle, and now he's running for the governor of Ohio. He's never fully out. Donald Trump has been captured. They got to him.
I think so.
He is not an independent.
I hate to say it. I think so. I'm gonna pull up a couple of screenshots I just took from Twitter so we can catch up a little bit. The Epstein files have been released on the FBI website, but heavily redacted. Most of the information unreadable. There was a couple more pictures that goes along with this, but it's exactly what it says. I mean, everything's redacted that's posted on the FBI files. And then also another one, this is showing that they have, this is supposedly the FBI pages for the Epstein files, and they've deleted 574 pages. Like, first of all, how do you have 574 pages? And second of all, why are we deleting it? I mean, this is what we talked about yesterday. These hermaphroditic group chats in the FBI and CIA are getting rid of information. They're trying to save people.
The FBI and the CIA are basically foreign intelligence operations already.
I make the argument that they all are. That's what the CIA, the FBI, they're all Mossad, MI6. All of these intelligence organizations are exactly that. They're globalist intelligence organizations. They may be slightly compartmentalized, but they all share the same information. They all have the same information because they're all controlled by the same people. And it's not the governments that they work for.
Yeah. It's as simple as we are not in the club. You cannot get into the club. I know people that are highly qualified, smart people that would make great politicians, and they're not let near the system. They get the system is totally gate kept, which is why we need to truly galvanize the real right wing while it still exists, because unfortunately there is a half-life on this movement. There will become a time where the white people are already becoming a minority. What happens when it's a total reversal where it's like white people are only 10% of the population? Then you can get every white person to vote for putting a cap on immigration, but it won't matter anymore, which is why we need to have some type of movement where we truly say what we want. This is something I heard earlier in the week where basically it's like we need to, we've talked about the split before. We need to have a party that distinguishes itself based on the goals we want to achieve. Where it's like, okay, we're not the conservative party. We are the immigration moratorium party. That's what it needs to be.
Well, I do think we do need to retake the term conservatism. But I mean, we talk about the split. Even Vivek, which we talked about earlier, understands that this split is happening. He understands this is the split. His 1 is heritage, blood, and soul, and his 2 is ideals, allegiance, and duty. I mean, this is exactly the split that is happening. These people know it's happening, and they're trying to usurp what it means to be a nation. They're trying to redefine the terms. That's what they do. It's legalese to language.
And they're resentful.
It's
not a gracious thing.
I keep scrolling trying to look for updates, but I don't think they're coming, Josh.
Oh, I was like, is that what you're doing? Like,
yeah.
I don't even know why you bother. We're not I guarantee you.
I'm hopeful.
Guarantee you, we're not getting it.
I can tell you what I do see. I do see the cover pages. That's a lot of information there on them cover pages there, Josh.
Okay, yeah, and so they deleted 574 pages, and that's like a pamphlet or like a book like this thick. What is in there? What is it? Pictures? I mean, it must be. I mean, how much?
It's probably all redacted.
We don't even care. I don't want to read a goddamn book about Epstein Island. I don't want to get into the details about what so and so did to a 9-year-old. I just want to know the lists.
Just give me the names.
Yes.
Give me the perpetrators. You can redact all the victims. Give me the perpetrators and have them shot. I want them executed. Line them up.
I want the
publicly televised on the live stream. We'll live react to it, Josh. How about that?
Ooh, yeah. Well, people can bid on okay, throw a grenade at that one.
One of those what are they called, red rooms in China? You ever heard of that?
I have, yeah.
Sick. Those people need the same thing done to them. We're getting a little traction. Got people. If you got any questions, leave them in the comments. Me and Josh have all the correct answers. So if you want to engage, send it over this way.
Between Zeb and I, we know everything.
Well, between me and me, I know everything. Josh just likes to talk. He likes hearing himself talk.
That's true.
How come she could go on the plane along with Epstein and nobody else ever got to? Who's this? Nicole Junkerman?
Yeah, Nicole Junkerman.
I'm not sure who that is.
Yeah, I've not heard of Nicole Junkerman. Maybe we can go into that a little bit later.
If that's true, she can get on her knees, turn around, and line up to face the wall.
Give him the Clinton treatment.
Yep. Well.
But yeah, I mean, basically, long story short, Zeb, don't get your hopes up. We're not going to learn anything.
Yeah.
The only person who can truly blow the whistle on this was executed in prison and framed as a suicide in 2019. Because Ghislaine Maxwell, I mean, her father was in Mossad, who basically set up the whole operation. Nothing's going to happen to her. Is she even in jail?
Ghislaine? I don't think so.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, I forget the movie, but, it's basically, I wouldn't be surprised if she got, sentenced to prison time. How are the reporters going there every day to make sure she's even there? It's like, oh, yeah. They're coming by.
She said, Sweet said she's connected to Thiel. Well, if they're connected to Thiel, then nothing's getting released ever. That's just how it works. I mean, those are the people on the inside at the top that are usurping the elected president, I believe. But it's very black-pilling last couple of days. I want to thank everybody for stopping by. Leave it a like, subscribe. We go live about every 2 o'clock every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
We'll have Rodney on tomorrow. And maybe another guest. I don't know. We'll see if we can fit him in here.
And we appreciate the comments. We've been getting a lot of really good comments lately. So we want to encourage you guys to do that. Share the podcast with your friends. We do Outside the Overton. We do the Pendulum podcast here on Pendulum Media, whatever you prefer.
Yep.
Keep
We
referring.
just react to what's going on the day. There's a lot of reaction. Maybe it's a good reaction, maybe it's a bad reaction. I don't know. Like I said, the last couple of days have been pretty black pilling. Up until then, you know, the first 3 weeks of the Trump presidency been pretty strong, I thought. And then just, I don't know, we're on a crash out right now. We're on a
It's
crash
not
out,
going good,
Josh.
man. It's not going good.
Thank everybody for stopping by. You want to
I think
say something?
No. I think we about covered it. I encourage you guys to go check out some of our other clips, some of our other videos. If you're in the area, listen to Live 95. I don't know. I might
Josh,
get in trouble
Josh
for
has a
promoting
radio
it
show on Saturday mornings that he hosts.
that I barely listen to too.
But
But anyway, we appreciate you guys coming by. Sarge and Sweet Rims. Appreciate all the comments, and we hope to appreciate that. She said it was a good show.
Yep,
And we hope to hear from you guys again soon.
Pieces.